Alright, what's up everybody? This post is obviously, this video will be about the new update from the Texas Chainsaw Game Community Hub. It was released actually yesterday because today's May 28th. Written by Daniel Nixon, The Maps of Texas. And so we have three images to look at. We have the slaughterhouse, then we have the gas station, and then we actually have the family house map. So it's three maps that they've released. So these will be the first three maps that we get to play on launch. And here's what they wrote about them. The Texas countryside is an important aspect in bringing the Texas Chainsaw Massacre to life. In this subpost, we'll be going over the process of recreating the iconic locations from the 1974 film as game environments and how those locations may require different playstyles depending on where players find themselves. For Gun and Sumo, working on the Texas Chainsaw Massacre began with intensive research to deepen our understanding of the source material in regards to the locations featured in the film. It means using that understanding of what existed to expand upon it in a way that makes sense for the game. This is a statement by Steve Kirby, lead designer, Sumo Digital Nottingham. This is what he had to say. When choosing and designing the levels, we knew we wanted players to really experience the iconic locations from the original movie as well as add our own stamp on the franchise. These are key locations for the family and their victims, and it would not be the Texas Chainsaw Massacre without them. We wanted to allow the players to not just enter, but more importantly, fully explore and feel those places and how macabre they are, discovering not just what the movie showed, but the areas hidden from view. We get to explore a huge range of possible environmental questions. What would be behind this door? What spaces have this family of killers created? How did the family live in these spaces? How have they constructed these areas? That's where the real fun begins, and where the designers and artists get to play, working with our art and design team here at Sumo and the awesome folks at Gun. Nothing has been left unturned. In the authenticity department, we know that fans are going to compare and analyze what we have made with the movie. And I think I can say that everyone on the project has brought their A game to bring as much detail as humanly possible to the game. I'm very proud of what the team has created. Alright, so that's what Steve Kirby had to say. The overhead view gives a good sense of scale for each location, but also illustrates how each map is different from the others. From the basement where we've seen Leatherface work to the gas station where we meet the cook for the first time, these locations are more than just the rooms we see in the film. And within each location there are vastly different areas, strategies that work in a windowless basement. May not be the best choice in a room with sunlight streaming in. And the advantages you have in the shadows may disappear when you find yourself outside in the bright Texas sun. The family house sits virtually alone in a sea of green grass and sunflowers with open lines of sight anywhere outside. The gas station is littered with junk piles and broken down vehicles that have been dumped and forgotten in the spaces between buildings. The slaughterhouse is this maze-like claustrophobic tangle of broken down buildings and cattle panels. How do we make sure that we are still promoting the same core gameplay while players are forced to play differently in each location? Ollie Scott, designer, Sumo Digital Nottingham, he states this. Once we had a solid understanding of how the core gameplay was shaping up, we underwent the process of carving up the gameplay spaces to promote our cat and mouse philosophy. Shadows and traversal methods became the hallmark of successful players on the development team. However, we knew we could not offer all these things in every scenario, and so found that through repeat play sessions, different play styles emerged that complemented each player's style. Through all our maps, we tried to capture a feeling of progress as victims moved through each zone. It was important to reward success with more space to breathe and plan, while also raising the pressure on the family members to catch victims before they escape. There's a satisfying moment in a match when a family team realizes the victim has progressed past an integral threshold. Can the family stay cool under pressure and hunt their victims, or will the victims capitalize on the confusion to make a break for it? That's what Ollie Scott had to say. The family will need to keep their eyes and ears open and depend on all of the tools at their disposal, including teamwork, to search out and discover where the victims are before they are able to escape the family's clutches. We've said before that victims should be silent, shut off the lights, and stick to the shadows. These are the core concepts to strive for, though there are times that players can't or won't be able to follow these guidelines. In those moments, choices must be made. So that's basically it. That was the newest update from the Community Hub. So now we have like a detail on like what we're going to be working with. It's obviously a cat and mouse game. It's obviously the kind of a game where you obviously have to hide in the shadows because evil can strike at any moment. And so it is highly important to be aware of your surroundings and make sure that the family members don't see you, because obviously if they see you, they can catch you and kill you, and that is your survival. That is how you survive. You have to learn how to work the map. You have to learn what works. You have to learn how to stay in the shadows. You have to learn what kind of things might be able to block the family members' field of view, and you have to learn how to work together as a team. That is probably one of the most important aspects of online gaming, is learning how to work with people that you don't know, because you know everyone buys the game, and sometimes you're not always in situations where you can play with your friends. So it's adventurous to go in a game. For me, at least, it is to go into a game and not know anybody and try to understand what's going on and try to figure things out and use the knowledge that I gained from my own playstyle, my own gameplay, to teach the people around me and just try to lead people around me. That's what I've always tried to do with online gaming as best as I can. Playing certain games, I'm in situations where I can't really do that because I'm usually with people that are a lot better than me at games. That happens a lot. But in other situations where I do know what's going on around me, where I do understand how to resolve or figure out a solution to a situation, I'll share that knowledge with the people that I'm playing with. I'll share the information that I learned with the people that I'm playing with, so that I can help them get better and help them understand. Because otherwise people get upset, they rage, they quit, they get mad at the devs, they complain about this or that, because of the lack of understanding of what's going on around them, the lack of understanding of what's been placed there, what family members might be vulnerable to, and when playing as a family member, what survivors are vulnerable to. A lot of people just expect everything to be thrown at them, and they expect everything to be easy for them. And I mean, I feel like everything is pretty simple once you have a basic understanding on how the game works and what functions and what works this way and what works that way, you know. But everything we've learned so far, I think we have a lot to look forward to. I think we have a lot of great things to look forward to, and I think that what Gun and Sumo are working on, or what they're producing right now, what they're creating, is going to be nothing but pure horror and pure art and another love letter to the horror community and the horror culture. The famous quote now is, you know, it's never been a greater time to be a horror fan, and why not, right? Why not? Why not go in that direction? I mean, I didn't see Doctor Strange yet, but I feel like they ripped a lot off from Evil Dead, and we have a huge Evil Dead game now that everyone's playing. So horror's the way right now. You know what I mean? Horror is the way right now, and I think it's a good thing, as long as it is being kept at a pristine value, as long as it's being kept at a value where it's scary and it's good and it's atmospheric and it's not just blood, guts, boom. She has big tits. Let's see how we kill her. It should be more to that. It should be more depth to that. You want the characters to survive. You want to care for them. That's what makes a good horror film. Like you care for the character. You want them to fall in love with the character. You want the audience to fall in love with your characters because you want them to survive. You don't, or else it just becomes what it was in the past, where how does this group of people get killed? How does that group of people get killed? How does the killer die? What do they do there? How do they work together to overcome the killer? You know what I mean? Most of the time, I feel like I always feel myself watching a horror film and actually rooting for the killer. You know what I mean? I feel like I fall into that category. I don't really fall in love with the characters at all. Not all the time, but like sometimes I do, and I just feel like when it's like that, I just feel like, I don't know. Like I guess a good example would be Halloween Kills. I didn't really have much sympathy for the actors in that. I mean, the characters in that. I didn't really care. I felt like that was like more of Michael Myers really showing himself as a shape in that one. So maybe it'll be different in Halloween Ends. But that's probably the best example. Whereas a movie like 28 Days Later, right? That's a really good horror film. You don't root for the infected in that movie at all. You root for the people trying to survive. Obviously, it's a different kind of movie, but it is a horror film. It's a post-apocalyptic horror film. Whereas a slasher is a little bit different. Slasher, depending on how well it's made, I don't know. And Halloween, I mean, I've always been a huge Halloween fan, so it's hard for me to like not want more. So I don't ever really want to see Michael Myers get killed because I want another movie. You know what I mean? In the future. Same with Friday the 13th. Scream kind of gets away with it because in Scream, you don't want Ghostface to survive. And Ghostface is always different in Scream. It's never the same person. It's always a different person. And so in that regard, Ghostface is a little bit different. And that's a slasher. So that's like a unique aspect of slasher films, just because Ghostface, there's no like, I mean, you don't want those people getting away with what they do at all. You want the survivors to survive in those films, whereas like in Halloween or Friday the 13th, that's Jason, you know what I mean? You're just watching to see what they can do. And I feel like that's why they bring back older actors, like original actors in Halloween, because otherwise you're just going to be rooting for Michael Myers, whereas they bring back Jamie Lee Curtis because they want you to root for Laurie Strode instead. I think that's why they do that. Or else, like, that's basically it. You don't want to see the people survive that. You want to see Michael Myers do what he does, and you want to see the horror of it. How thrilling can it be? How intense can it be? You know what I mean? I think what makes good horror is good thrills. A good thriller is a good horror. A good thriller mystery is a good horror. Something that really can grip you and keep you on the edge of your seat. Something like that. I think it's easier for this generation to look back on past horror films and not really understand or appreciate that, because of how much we see in the world we live in now, compared to how the world was when a lot of different horror films came out. A lot of original horror films came out. We live a much different life now than what was then, and just imagine what it's going to be like in the next 30 years from now, and how much worse things are going to be. I think that's scarier than any horror film. But horror and art, they're all forms to help us. They're all forms of escapism, but at the same time, they can be muses so that we can motivate ourselves to create things, create our own art. You know what I mean? And I think that's important to do, is create art in a world that lacks it. In a world where a lot of people are in a bubble, so distracted by social media and whatnot is to turn that off and kind of look at the deeper picture that is there, you know, kind of understand what is there overall. But I'm looking forward to this game, and I am very excited for it, and I'm truly enjoying the Evil Dead game right now as well, and I plan to just bounce back and forth between the Texas Chainsaw Massacre game and the Evil Dead game. And any other good horror games that come out that are online that are asymmetrical. I think that's the kind of online gamer I am. I've never been a COD player. I like shooting in those kinds of in the kind of game that's asymmetrical horror, but I don't like COD or any of that kind of stuff. I've never been a fan of that. It's not my thing. I'll play offline shooters like Uncharted. I'll play that. That's a good shooter. The Last of Us isn't really a shooter, but that game was developed to give you all manner of playstyle, and to open you up to all manner of playstyles. So it's not strictly a shooter, but you can be a shooter in it, and I liked being a shooter in that as well. But yeah, so that's it for this, and I hope everybody enjoys this. And whenever Gun comes out with another Community Hub update, I will definitely talk about it on here. And if you enjoy what you see, if you enjoy this kind of content, definitely subscribe and hit that like button and comment and tell me what else you'd like to see me talk about. Alright? Thank you. Have a great